Joining us right now is Flowcode founder and CEO Tim Armstrong. He is the former CEO of Oath. What do you think is really happening here? Is this Snap specific, Tim, or do you think there's actually a broader issue?
Yeah, well, Andrew, thanks for having me on, and great to see Becky and Joe also. I would say there's like an interesting dynamic in the ad market right now, which is, fairly large tectonic plates shifting. I think, what's not getting talked about is, Amazon's projected to get to 15% of the ad market. TikTok's been on a tear. You have the Netflix, Microsoft deal. So I think at a larger looming, picture in the next 12 months, you're going to see a lot of ad dollars going to a lot of places that they haven't historically been. I think when you zoom into Snap, I think actually Evan's done a really good job with the product. I think one of the things that stood out to me in the Snap release was their community growth. And I know a few weeks ago they launched a new subscription service. So I think Snap is probably caught in some of those dynamics in the competitive front. But I think, Snap usage for me from a community standpoint looks like it's actually doing pretty well. And I think when you look at something like Facebook or Meta, where they're just announcing potentially splitting up the news feed and doing things like, you're starting to see companies of Facebook size start to change their entire strategy, with consumer interactions in the community around what's been happening in the product landscape. So I think, macro picture, really big tectonic shifts changing where money's going in the ad business. And then micro picture on people's individual products. It's going to take a lot of product differentiation to capture ad dollars.
Hey, Tim, I don't think Evan Spiegel's a seller, given the fact that he's just signed on publicly to stay through 2027, which I think is trying to be a signal to the market about what his intentions are. But there's been long questions about whether these companies should be independent entities, given now we have Elon Musk trying to buy Twitter, which I know has been sort of was also a perennial takeover target for a long time. What do you think happens to Snap long term?
Yeah, I think we're in the section of the post-dot-com bubble type era where you're going to have a lot of companies that could get consolidated due to their market cap drops or the changes in the valuation of the private market. So I'd expect there to be a wave of consolidation in media. It's already been happening, but probably an accelerated one. And two is, if you're a shopper, if you have cash, I'll give you one stat, which I think people are always surprised by, is when we left the 2009 financial crisis, the dot-com companies had about $50 billion in cash. They now have about $500 billion. And it's a tougher market for them with the government and things like that. But there's also a lot of big corporations with a lot of cash. So, a year ago, 2 years ago, if you wanted to go shopping for growth and companies in the new digital landscape or mobile landscape, very tough to do based on valuations. Today, that's a different picture. So I think you are going to see a fair amount of consolidation happen across these different sectors and media. And then I'd say the other thing, Andrew, just on the, what's happening in the bigger media landscape with TV and things, YouTube TV has done, from my outside viewpoint, a pretty exceptional job of, disrupting the TV market. So You're going to go through this rebundling period, right now and reproductizing. And I think it's probably going to take a while, but there's probably a couple of years in front of us of consolidation.
Hey, Tim, you know this advertising market, online advertising in particular, better than just about anybody. I think it's pretty important. I think what I was hearing you say is that this is not necessarily a huge drop in ad spending at this point, which is kind of what's freaking the market out at this point, but maybe just more competition, more places to choose from, Snap getting caught up in all of that. Is that what you're saying, that maybe the sell-off of Meta down by 4.9%, Pinterest down by 6%, is that too much if this is not a huge drop in ad sales, or are all of these platforms also going to get caught in that same competition? Yeah,
I think ad sales will slow down, Becky, but I think underneath the ad sales, like in a normal kind of recessionary, period, I think there will be a slowdown in ad sales. But the thing that I think is not getting talked about is, if you went back 3, 4, 5 years, the percentages of where dollars were going into what players, that has dramatically shifted. So if you're not one of the players where that migration has happened, it's going to put a lot of pressure on your product development to differentiate yourself enough, to get into the categories of the, the probably like the TikToks and some of the other platforms that have seen growth. And then I would just say, we're in a election year, right now, and you got World Cup coming up and things like that. So, there is still pressure in the ad market. I think what you really want to look at is 2023 and 2024 is who's able to differentiate their products and communities and really, product development into that cycle. And that's what I think probably investors don't know. But I would say if you look at where money has shifted to, there's been some pretty dramatic shifts just in terms of who's getting the money.
Hey, Tim, you mentioned YouTube TV, and I have to say that I've been blown away by that service and what that represents. You're obviously, Hulu Live is another version of it. Comcast has, Infinity Flex. How do you see that sort of whole ecosystem working itself out over the next year or two?
Yeah, I think it's, I've said this before, I feel like it's unsustainable. There's basically 300 different OTT services. And, the thought that consumers are going to live in a world where they have to have, 100 or 50 or 35 subscriptions to different platforms, I think that's probably not a tenable situation. So I think we're kind of going through the natural phase of people rebundling. And I think, YouTube and Comcast and Hulu have done a really nice job of pulling, those assets together, and Apple TV has as well. So I as a consumer, you're standing from the outside saying, oh, great, I see all this incredible content. You're probably not saying, hey, I want to have, 30, 40, 50 subscriptions to things. So I think the consolidation and kind of platformizing of the OTT business is going to happen. And then I think the other thing will be interesting is watching Microsoft and Netflix. You have Microsoft with Xbox. You have Netflix with, 30, 40% of the viewership on OTT. So, if you go forward 2 or 3 years, you're probably also going to have new types of bundles on new products and new hardware also. That will be really interesting. So I'm bullish on the space, but I'm also bullish on bundling.
And then just more broadly, let's go out 30,000 feet, just because you seem to have always a good sense of just the demand by the advertising community, which I always think is the first to go if you actually think a recession is in the offing. Are you feeling any of that? Are you seeing anything like that at all?
Yeah, I think, one thing that, again, just kind of behind the scenes in advertising is there's been a consolidation at the top of the funnel where customers, especially in a recessionary period, need to get more customers into their products. If customers slow down their decision making, you basically need more customers to keep up the same rate of growth. So I would say behind the scenes, people are really focused on how do they continue the customer flow. But I would say at the same time, they're also managing their P&Ls and budgets. And, I've been through 2 major of these cycles, one at Google and one at AOL. And I think it's totally natural for customers to slow down a little bit. But really what they do is they get rid of things that don't work and they spend more of their money and time on things that do work and are faster. So I think, the people who are going to benefit out of this are the Googles of the world. TikTok, I think, is performing well for people, and they've become more of a bottom of the funnel type. I think Amazon's going to benefit from this and ads. And I think what you're going to see is the secondary players are probably going to feel more pain. But the advertisers need to keep spending because it's really hard to turn demand back on once you shut it off. And I think that's a big lesson, from the last couple big incidents like we've been in.
Tim Armstrong, it's always good to see you. We appreciate your perspective on all of
Andrew,
this.
hold on. You got it. You didn't give me a chance to talk about our launch with POAP.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Real quick. Today we're announcing a new partnership with POAP, which is the proof of attendance protocol, which allows you to make attendance the new membership for if you're a big brand and you have customers in your offline channels and you want to attach the blockchain to them and get first-party data and all the things that make having a data around your customers really important. We are announcing today a joint partnership with POAP, and that company, POAP, basically badges your fans as they interact with your brand, and you can access it directly through Flowcode. And we've been trying this out for the last 6 months. We just did a big program with Gary Vaynerchuk and VaynerMedia in France at the Advertising Festival at Cannes. And we've had an amazing set of interactions between fans and brands in the offline world that mimic what happens in the online
Tim,
world.
in a very practical sense, just explain how it works. So if I have my phone, I'm at one of these events, what do I do? And obviously, I'm going to point my phone at the code, but then what happens?
Yeah, so if you're at the Gary V Paris Hilton event that happened in France, a code would come up either in the audience or on a screen. You would scan it. you would get a proof of attendance protocol on your phone that you were at that event. And then the brands, Gary Vee and VaynerMedia, can then take your proof of attendance and turn it into essentially an offline cookie that allows you as the user and Gary Vee as the brand to know that you had a relationship and you physically got together. And then for future events or future interactions, Gary Vee and the fan now know that they were connected in a very physical way in the offline world at an event. And it creates an incredible opportunity for things like loyalty and things like benefits for users that have spent their time physically.
Just so I understand, does the company, though, have to provide either loyalty programs or some kind of incentive to actually put the phone up and create that connection in terms of why the customer is going to want to do that?
Yeah, it works better if there's an incentive, Andrew, but I will tell you this. People love being at events and their memories come from events. So in many cases, people just want to have a memory directly taken off of one of our flow codes so that they can keep it with them for the rest of their lives. It's a great way for people to have big remembrances in their lives, and that's really what POAP does and what flow code facilitates.
Okay. Tim, congratulations on that launch. I'm sorry that I didn't mention it earlier. We often mention Flowcode virtually every day because we tell people to point their phone at the screen, and we use it here at CNBC.
You guys do a
Tim,
great
thanks.
job at CNBC.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.